high performers are building their morning routines backward. Today, we flip the script on everything you think you know about peak performance on Mornings in the Lab. Hey, good morning. Welcome to Mornings in the Lab, where we turn science. Oh, baby, we turn science into results. I'm your host. I'm Keith Bilous. And hey, quick heads up. This is an R-rated experience. Marty's in the lab. Yeah, he's here this morning for the loop, so you better put the headphones on. You never know what's going to drop out of Marty's mouth. Today, we're breaking down the science of peak performance with Dr. Ford Dyke. Listen. When Team USA needed to rewrite what's possible, rewrite, what is this, Bugs Bunny? When Team USA needed to rewrite what's possible, they called Ford. They didn't call GM or Chevy. I know, Marty, it's not a good joke. I'm trying. Anyways, when the Paralympic athletes needed to break barriers, they called Ford. Yeah, they did. They called Ford and Jon Andersen, and they didn't call Jon or Rich. No, they called Ford Dyke. They called Ford. Yes, Jon and Rich are also here, and Kristina. Well, listen, we know where Kristina was yesterday. We're gonna check into the history of Kristina Flynn this morning and see if she's around or if she's busy being a parent. And of course, Jon Andersen's back here today. We're gonna talk cholesterol on the fat side of things. We talked about fat and ketosis earlier this week. We're gonna keep talking about cholesterol and how the good cholesterol, the bad cholesterol, the good fat, bad fat, all that fat. Coming up later this morning with Jon Andersen in the protein break at about 8:48 in the morning. And of course, we got the League of Business Athletes are live right now. We're looking for 10 leaders. 10 leaders, you guys, if you're rolling over right now, you're looking for an edge, get started. Come join us. 10 leaders ready to put 100 days, 100 hours, one focus. The question is, will you qualify? Hey, listen, your credit card's not good enough. No, you got to have the credit card. You got to have the energy. Most importantly, you got to have the attitude. Yes, listen, follow, subscribe, hit that like button, and let's get into this experience. Jimmy, I'm going to move my head over here. We're going to bring up the crew. We got Johnny in black on black with the cigar. We got Richie in. I think that might be oatmeal. I don't know if it's oatmeal.
Oh, my God.
It's a running shirt, man. I don't know.
Okay, it's a running shirt, Richie says. And, of course, we got the man with the button. I'm really excited that we got Marty, Christopher Martin here today, boys.
What's up, man?
That is awesome. Marty, I said to you yesterday, you sent me a text. I said, how was the show? And I'm like, Marty, I said, the show was good, but I was kind of lost. I logged in the morning and you weren't there. And the good thing about kind of today's show is that, when I first started this whole experience back in May of last year, March, I started with Nicole Bernard, was shaking Nicole, and then Nicole had some changes to life, and then Marty joined up the show, and then Johnny hangs out, and then Johnny joins the show, and then all of a sudden Marty's got some obligations, and I'm like, hey, where the fuck's Marty? So good to have you here this morning, pal. We got Marty in for the first 15 minutes of the loop to get check up with him. And Marty's in the yellow, maybe green, less brunches, more crunch.
Yeah, there's nothing yellow about that, baby. If you're seeing yellow in there, brother, you're colorblind as a motherfucker. Let's just be straight.
The sunglasses got some dye in them or something.
Yeah, you've been smoking too much of that goddamn cannabis this morning, brother.
That's exactly it. Yes. Yeah. No, I've been really fucking running is what I've been doing around. So we're gonna keep you a couple moments here. But hey, listen, what research actually shows us about peak performance is that your brain, and listen, Johnny knows this, your brain makes 35,000 decisions every day. But the quality of those decisions, they're determined by how you engineer your first 90 minutes. And I'm going to tell you, Nation, the guys on the guys on this call might even say, the guys on this show might
Here we go.
That your morning, it was late night, guys. I was at the hockey game last night. They might even say that the last 90 minutes before you go to bed the night before is how you're going to determine your morning. Listen, most people start their days with reactively. They check their emails, they scroll the feeds, they chase urgency. But what if you could redesign everything, starting with your brain's operating system? It's not motivation talking; it's neuroscience. Johnny, Richie, Marty, let's get into it. Richie, did you go for a run this morning?
I did. I did a 2-hour run, and then I did a 1-hour strength workout in the gym. So I doubled up today.
Holy shit.
Nice.
Yeah, let's fucking go.
Yeah. And then Marty, what have you done this morning, Marty, already?
So let me give you. This is why I wanted to get on the show. I wanted to share with you guys. So
Okay.
I'm gonna try to make it quick too.
Yeah.
So my dad is in town, right?
Yes.
So my dad calls me. He's like, "Yeah, man." He's like, they're doing a celebration for his Georgetown basketball team that won the championship years ago.
Yeah.
So he's like, "Yeah, we're getting dinner." I'm like, "All right." So I got to go to dinner after training, after working, this new job. So I didn't get my workout yesterday. I'm tired as fuck. I'm not on the morning show.
Oh.
So I say, look, I got to have a good morning. I woke up this morning, did my stretch, had my coffee. Now I feel like I'm back.
Yes.
That's it, baby. That's it. It's
And
all
I was
about,
like, let me hop on the
that's
show.
it.
Yeah.
Yes. You know what
It's all about setting the stage, baby. Right out of
That's
bed.
right.
You only get one chance to make a first impression on the loop.
Yes.
I agree.
Good morning, Jack Dugan. I see you there in the comments. Good to see you there, brother. I love having you tune in every single day. We got the super fan, the number one, the day one, Jack Dugan joining us here this morning. And Nation, let's Johnny Marty, let's keep shining the light on Rich. Let's keep shining the light on Marty here, because Marty, a lot of guys go through what you've gone through. All of a sudden, you got a new job, your routines change, and kids are calling, dads are calling, moms are calling, and you're like, oh, hold on a second here. I'm kind of out of sorts. And you know what, Marty? It would have been really easy for you to kind of not get your shit together today.
Yep.
And it would have been easier to kind of maybe go to back what was comfortable. Like, okay, I went out for dinner and I'm going to sleep in today. I'm tired. And
Nope.
You know what I mean? Because it's so easy, right?
Nope.
Yeah, you're right. It was super easy, but now I got to get back on my routine. Like I said, I'm back feeling like myself because of the morning routine. So
yeah, that's all.
But there's a part of the philosophy that we got to point out for the listeners is that once you get deep enough into this side of the fence, you can't unsee it.
Yes.
It's like it's real. You dig on the morning routine a little bit. You start. Oh, this is kind of cool. You're 1 foot in 1 foot. It's real easy to back out on that one. But once you've actually really put some effort into it, and you've dialed it in for you, and you see, because most people don't know how bad they feel until they finally feel good. Once you see that, you can't unsee it. You can't unring that bell. So just remember, there's a side to all this that's addicting.
Yes. So those of you that are wondering where our beloved colleague and producer Kristina Flynn is, yesterday we acknowledged the fact that Kristina was busy being a parent, and I chatted with Kristina, and let's check in with Jimmy. Let's check in with Kristina. Let's call her up here and see if she's available here. Oh, hold on.
That's okay.
As we can see, Kristina Flynn is still busy. Yeah. Marty, yesterday, the last few days, it's been a pacifier or soother or whatever you want to call it, removal few days for Kristina's children or son. So it was like, hey, you're not getting soother anymore. And that was the result of yesterday. Yeah, exactly.
Good luck to her.
It's like us men when the honey says, no, you know what? I don't think that we're going to have any action for a while. You're like, wait a minute.
Well, hold on. If your lady's saying that, you're doing it wrong.
Oh,
If you're giving her what she wants, she's never going to say that.
Well, this is true. There's probably some truth to that. I can't argue with that whatsoever.
Yeah, it's some truth and it's a little bit of bullshit too, John. But hey,
A little bit of
Listen,
you older than me, so you know a little more than me. So I'm gonna let you rock.
The thing about what people understand is we have much more control, and I don't mean this in a bad way. We have much more control of how others are going to behave around us based upon how we behave.
Yes.
That's true.
Yeah. There's certainly truth to that. 100% truth to that.
I just wanted to get you going, John. That was it.
I love it. You just pushed me to drop more nuggets, baby.
That's
There
it.
we go.
So since we got Marty on this morning for a few minutes, I thought I'd throw this one on the table here this morning because I've been wanting to kind of chat about with Marty, but we kind of lost time earlier this week. We talk about morning routines on the show. We talk basketball, we talk sports, talk athletics, and I know Marty's a big LeBron James fan. Marty, Bronny drops $1.5 million annually to maintain peak performance on his body. Thoughts on that?
Oh, well, first of all, you said Bronny, not
Yeah,
Bronny's the baby.
You're right. I meant LeBron. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
But no, I mean, you a lot of people don't invest in themselves, and then they look up and they wonder why they're injured, why they can't perform, how they want to. But I mean, it's amazing. His trainer definitely deserves it. He's on year 22.
His trainer?
I mean, that's LeBron is.
LeBron is, yes.
That's fucking crazy.
Is.
Guys usually hanging it up at year 22, or they sitting on the bench or doing their farewell tour. But he's still in the All-Star race. So
crushing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. So his daily routine, guys, maybe you know, maybe you don't know this, but I found this quite fascinating, right? So on game day, he wakes up at 6:30 a.m. He does a 10-15-minute cold plunge with Shake and Adam House. So talking to Adam this morning. He warms up. He naps from noon till 2. And I want to come back to the napping part because he really emphasizes that. And then he engages in core muscle strengthening, stretching, and massage before a 7 p.m. game. His diet, he prioritizes, Johnny, whole organic foods. He avoids sugar, fried, and processed foods, though he enjoys a post-game glass of wine. Recovery. He does cold plunge. He does red light therapy. He has hyperbaric oxygen chamber, cryotherapy, and pneumatic leg compression. But boys, his emphasis, and I want to emphasize this because we talk about it all the time, but we got to maybe beat the drum home. He emphasizes sleep as his top health priority, optimizing his rest environment with minimal screen time and a cool room is what he does. And he says this approach, blending cutting edge technologies, gets some quality sleep, which gives him, credits for his longevity and his sustained high performance. Guys, I think the problem with sleep is we all don't think we're doing anything when we're sleeping, so we don't want to sleep.
I've said so many times on this show that sleep is the most anabolic factor that we know. Now let's hear the imitation, baby. Come on, give it to me. Give it to me, baby.
I tell my clients all the time: if you don't sleep, you don't deserve to train. You don't deserve to train.
You don't get to train. It's a privilege. It's a privilege. That's right.
No, I absolutely agree with that, though.
Yeah, but it's funny because we all don't want to sleep. It's like society has FOMO. With Shake and Joe Fontana, good to see you.
What's up, Joe?
It's like we all have FOMO, and yet we got to sleep. And then you look at a guy like Richie, who just hangs out with his buddy at the Moab a couple weeks ago or last week, whatever it was, and it's like, yeah, I'm going to sleep for 10 minutes every hour so I can go crush 150 or 100 and somewhat miles, whatever he ran. But
240.
Yeah. Oh, sorry to underestimate it.
But you can also gamify it, right? Like, because it's not just about the hours of sleep. It's so yesterday I was really sore. And this morning I woke up feeling amazing, and I only got 6.5 hours of sleep. Okay, which my REM sleep or my deep sleep, I'm sorry, was the majority of my sleep. I slept that deeply, and so when I start looking, if I wake up and I know my head's kind of out, I look at my REM sleep. My REM sleep wasn't in check. If I wake up kind of sore, I look at my deep sleep. It wasn't in check. So you can gamify it and try and get those numbers higher. But if you're waking up sore every morning, man, you got to hit that deep sleep, try some melatonin or, work on some mindfulness before bedtime.
Before we say goodbye to Marty, Richie, I think we should bring you on. We should have a deeper dive discussion here in the coming weeks or days or weeks. I'd love to talk to you about sleep in the military. Like, being able to sleep on a fucking rock or on the side of a road or just, because I got to think that you need to learn how to sleep when you're out in the theater, out at war. Am I wrong?
Well, it's the same thing as training for a race, right? Like you're in your training, that's when you're getting all of your rest. When the race happens, you have trained for that race. So when you're not out on an operation getting zero sleep for weeks at a time. Your commanders are smarter than that. They're going to bring you back in for some little R&R time, right? But yeah, I mean, sometimes like the mission doesn't go around your fucking sleep. Like you got to fucking put your head up against a window or on a rock. Figure it the fuck out. But look, man, it's you go back and you do a reset and then you come back out and you do it all over again. So look, these guys aren't walking around like fucking zombies. Yeah, there you go.
Well, and for the quick tip for those that want to start improving their sleep, the simplest, most effective way is have a set bedtime. We all have alarms to wake up. Have an alarm to go to bed. If you start regimenting your bedtime, your circadian rhythm will catch on. Like Richie talks about how he tracks his sleep. I track my sleep with knowing, am I waking up how I feel like he's talking about, but I'm also knowing about, am I waking up before my alarm? Because if I'm resting efficiently, I'll wake up shortly before my alarm. If I'm not resting efficiently, I'll sleep to the alarm.
Yes. Yes. Marty, a couple words for you before you got to go, brother.
No, absolutely, man. The sleep is I've gotten my sleep in check. You know, I'm looking at my production in the gym, looking at production with my clients, just production and just leveling up. So sleep is everything.
There you go. Jack Dugan, get some sleep today, brother. And Nation, I'm going to invite you to think about something. We always rush to our meeting with our lawyer. We always rush to that most important business meeting. We always rush to that meeting with everybody else. Hey, you know what? Maybe you have a meeting with yourself today and it's called sleep. Think about that. Marty, we'll see you later, pal. Have a good one.
See y'all Monday, man.
All right, Marty.
Full hour on Monday.
I love that. I love that you're here this morning, Marty. That's awesome. All right, Ford Dyke's coming up. He's going to join us here in about 60 seconds. Ford, we're looking at you, brother. I know you're coming in here. One of the OGs in the morning show, guest number 2. Jimmy, we've got the accountability check-in rolling up here. We're going to pull off Marty and Richie, and we're going to get after it. All right. Yes. All right, let's do this. Pull out yesterday's numbers. Do that. Pull them out while I do this for you. Yeah. Pull up those numbers. No, not the to-do list. I didn't say the to-do list. The to-do list should be fucking done from yesterday. Yeah. Not the screen time. Nope, put the screen time away too. Your actual performance data. Did you get your sleep in? How was your energy? HRV levels, decision quality, output metrics, because here's what the science shows. Peak performance and peak performers, they don't track habits. No, they measure the results. Yes, they measure the results along the way. And listen, your morning doesn't need another routine. No, it needs a complete system redesign. You heard Johnny. Plan what time you go to bed the night before. So what data are you going to actually track today as you get through your day? What metrics drive the decisions to drive your life forward? What numbers tell you if you're advancing or you're just busy? I'm busy. Listen, this isn't just about eliminating distractions. No, it's about engineering excellence. Remember that number we talked about at the beginning of the show? Those 35,000 decisions you're going to make? Well, listen, less than 24 hours now when you wake up again, you got 35,000 more decisions to make. The question is, will you make them by design? Or are you going to make them by default? Are you going to react? Or are you going to be proactive on the decisions you know are coming tomorrow? There you go. It's your accountability check-in. Listen. If you're ready to stop guessing and start measuring, subscribe to this channel. Do it right now. Pause. Jack, tell everybody to subscribe to the channel. Like it, subscribe, tell your friends, tell every man in your circle you've discovered the greatest morning show for men. The only show that helps you get your ass out of bed, look at the clock and say, I'm not hitting the fucking snooze alarm. No way. I'll be 9 minutes behind. Yeah. And share this show with someone who needs to upgrade their performance metrics. All right. Coming up this point in the show. Oh, I'm going to do this just because I know Marty's walking out of here. So I got somebody walking into the lab this morning. When Team USA needed to make history, they called him. Yep, they did. Boop, boop, boop. When Paralympic athletes needed to break barriers, they called him. Yep. Boop, boop, boop. That's how they ring the phone here in Canada, because he just doesn't coach performers. Nope. He engineers it. This morning, one of the OGs from Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends, I believe he was guest number 2. We have the man from Florida, the man with the flowing locks, Ford Dyke. What is shaking, Ford?
Ford, what's up, brother?
Man, we're back. What's up, gentlemen? Good morning.
You are back. You are back. So I got to set the stage for Richie and Johnny. So Ford joined me in the early days of the show when we were figuring shit out. Me and Nicole were just kind of finding our way, and it was Ford, admittedly, back at the time, was a little bit more of a tamer, lighter show, I think. But since then, we may have, well, you can look around. You got some fucking dude here in the middle puffing on a cigar. And the guy might have lifted up a few things in his life. He might have stood on a stage and at some bodybuilding championships. He might have wrestled in North Korea. He might have been one of the world's strongest men. Then you got the guy next to you, Ford, who's might have fought in Iraq. He might have come back to North America and done some pretty extreme athletic things. So I introduced you to my friend Jon Andersen. I introduced you to my friend Richie Ingram. And John and Richie, I introduce you to my friend, one of the OGs in the lab here, Mr. Ford Dyke.
Hell of an intro. Nice to meet you guys.
Well, Ford, I got to come right out of the gate and say, I just meet you right now, but at a glance, you are one cool motherfucking looking dude.
Yes, I know.
I don't know, man. You guys got a crazy intro and accolade. And Richie, man, thanks for supporting the country, man. I appreciate your service, seriously. And John, it sounds like your background is one for the books, man, as the smoke's coming towards my screen. I love it. I love it.
So I got to ask Ford this first question. So, Ford, when we had you back on months ago, it was, I know are you in Florida right now still?
No, I'm actually at the university. So we're in full swing semester right now.
Oh, okay. So where's that?
Auburn, Alabama.
Auburn. Okay. So I know because when we
Roll Tide, man, what are you doing?
Man, we'll have to work on that. But anyway, go ahead, Keith.
I know when we talked last time, you're like, holy fuck, this is early in the morning. So Ford, is this early for you right now, or is this now normal for you, brother?
No, it's never normal. I mean, you guys are talking about sleep optimization, and Keith, I don't know what time zone you're on, man, but I told you last time, this is not an optimal window for me to be performing at gold. This is definitely like a bronze, maybe getting a podium finish. So you guys will get the best of me in here in a little bit once I start warming up the cylinders.
There you go. So here's the question that myself and Richie, and then you missed Marty earlier, but myself, Richie, Marty, and Johnny like to ask every single guest. It's kind of like our thing here, Ford. What is your morning routine? Give us all the specific details from when your head gets off the pillow. Like what actually happens? And even if there's no routine, like what actually happens the moment that either the alarm goes off or the circadian rhythm says, get up?
Yeah, I love that question. I don't really call it a routine. I call it more of a practice because I think routine is pretty limited and it sounds robotic to me. And I'm a human and I represent the process-oriented approach versus that goal-oriented approach and just looking at results and trying to continue to maximize. I try to stay within the process itself. So all details, literally alarms going off, try to stay within that circadian window of breaking the daylight. So I'm awake before that happens. And that way, when sunrise hits my eyeballs, I've got the melatonin drop in, the cortisol is rising up. I'll do a little stretching in bed. I'm a former athlete. I've put some miles on the body, so I don't just hop out of bed. I try to ease my way onto the floor. And then first thing I do is drink a cold glass of water after I take a giant piss, probably after the night, because I've been hydrated.
Come on, baby.
Yeah.
And then I snap off a banana because I think, primates knew it best. They eat a ton of bananas and they were super strong and efficient.
Yeah.
And then I eat what's called a wassa. I don't know if you guys are familiar with a wassa. I've eaten these things since I was a kid, but it's just like a little flat sourdough piece of bread. It's not very delicious, but when you pack it with peanut butter and some fresh jelly or honey or some berries on top, you're good to go. And then I'm off to some movement if I've got some clients to train or if I've got some teaching meetings, whatever it may be. And then I continue to crescendo. After that, probably I'd say an hour or so, I pop off a nice big smoothie, egg, Greek yogurt, spinach, supplements, berries, almond milk, etc., peanut butter, of course. And then I get into my coffee practice is what I call that as well. And craft coffee is a whole nother conversation for me.
Yes.
But single origin, B60 pour over on the fellow. I don't fuck around with that. So that's like literally a whole deep dive. And then by that point, I'm kind of ready around that 10:30, 11 window to be optimized to be productive as possible until about 2. And then I start with my lunch. And now I'm getting into the afternoon. I know you just talked about the morning, but you can kind of see how it just builds into that process.
Just ramping it up, baby.
Exactly. Yep.
I love it. So it's clear. So we kick off the show forward with something we call the morning loop, because when Johnny joined the show and he really emphasized it, we actually know it's just a loop, right? It's just 24 hours. The night starts the morning goes to the afternoon. It's just a complete loop. And hearing you explain your life, your routine, your habits, your practice. I love to use the word practice. It's actually a loop. And I see Richie leaning in and giggling. Richie, what was resonating for you as Ford was giving down his routine?
The fucking coffee, man. Like, that's amazing.
Don't get me started.
Yeah, no, I dig it. I dig it.
Well, I know, Johnny, you're a big coffee dude too. So there's something clearly in the coffee for performance. So Ford, is it something because it's it's like those who enjoy drinking wine or enjoy a cigar or cannabis, coffee is that same parameter, right? So in the morning we wake up, you can enjoy a nice cup of coffee. It sets the tone for the day. Do you use it for performance reasons, Ford, or is it I love the taste of it? Is it part of the practice, or what's the emphasis around coffee?
Yeah, it's everything for me. I mean, it's a conversation for starters, and the way it's sourced, the way it's distributed, the way it's brewed, the way it hits your body, the way that it makes you feel. I mean, there's so many layers to craft coffee specifically, I'm like, let's get serious. I'm not snapping off a Keurig, and hanging out with the fucking fun moms in the parking lot, dropping my kids off at preschool. Like, no, this is next level shit. I got a whole setup going on, several hundreds of dollars that are invested into it. And, people tell me all the time, like, oh, I drink coffee. And like, get the fuck out of here. You're drinking like Folgers from like, Sam's Club or some shit. This stuff is premier, top shelf, top level. And I can go on and on, man, but I just love the fact that it's part of my morning meditation too. I mean, when I'm in there and I'm grinding it and I'm smelling it and I'm enjoying the process of making it and I'm staying on my mat, they talk about yoga practitioners. How do you take what's built on the mat off the mat? For me, part of that too is working that craft coffee on the mat. How do I take that now to set intentions off the mat for what's coming on my day, on my agenda?
Oh, I love that. Good morning, Shelly. Good morning, Shelly. Good morning, Joe. Yes, Joe, you're right. I keep saying men, but this applies to everyone. Yes, this is a morning show for everyone to get their ass out of bed and get themselves going. Richie, Johnny. So Ford has something he's called, which is the 60 seconds of space. Now think about, get this. Break this down for us, Ford. What happens in the brain during those crucial 60 seconds, and how does it change performance? And do you recommend your clients making this their first ritual every morning, this 60 seconds of space? For Dyke?
Yeah, I think it's more than just the morning though, Keith. I mean, I think any point during your day, like Jon said, you're on this loop and you have a 24-hour period. But if you start to break that 24 hours down, you get about 1,440 minutes and then about 86,000 seconds. So if you take it into 60 seconds at a time, obviously we're not going to live our life that way. But just recognizing the space within the notes. So that beauty in the silence, so to speak.
Yeah, yes.
And you can always stop. You can always pause. You could close your eyes if you want. You can put away the notifications. You can drop the calls and the emails and all the bullshit and just go inward for a moment and see how you're feeling physically. How do I feel from top to bottom, inside, outside? How do I feel cognitively? Where's my mind? Where are my thoughts? How about emotionally or spiritually? Where am I as this organism on this planet in this moment and time? How do I feel? That's really informative. And once you connect that mind and body and that body and mind, now you're in an empowered place to decide how you want to move forward, because you're at choice. You're driving your own destiny, not any of this other shit coming in from the outside.
What's powerful, what you're saying right now is that, to regular listeners who hear often from Rich and hear often from Marty or hear often from Jon or even myself, especially Richie and Jon right now, constantly talking about mindset, getting into a space, getting into space. Like, before Richie gets on a track and runs for 3, 4, 5, 6 hours, he's an endurance athlete, right? And Johnny's done a lot of exceptional things in his lifetime as well. And they always talk about how it comes from here. And the space, and you're emphasizing the same thing, that different voice, right? Which I really love, because you come here, you're just repeating. There's no rocket science. Show up every single day, get into a space, repeat, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're creatures of habit. As long as we have those habits built in, then we'll reach a form of excellence. But if not, and we don't appreciate the process, we lose sight of what's on the horizon, and then things get a little bit murky and cloudy. And then we get burned out and we realize where'd all the time go. And we're 72 and trying to buy a sports car and bang a chick with fake tits and try to repeat what we already passed. But it doesn't work like that.
Oh, brother, I so agree with that. So that's why when I break it down to the loop, it's like, okay, you have your 24-hour loop. We all have our 24-hour loop. The habits we have installed, are they making our loop better or worse? Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, so many people, because we really don't stay the same as humans. We're getting better or worse. And most people, their loop, there's more negative habits installed than there are positive habits. And so they're inching their way backwards, so to speak. And then Father Time on top of that, next thing you know, just like you said, you're like, fuck, I'm 40 years old. What happened to all the cool shit I want to do in my life? Well, remember, you were going to do it tomorrow.
Yes. Yeah. Hey, Ford, you're going to be writing the foreword for Richie's book. I'm 72 and I'm banging fake chicks with
fake chicks.
I hope I'm 72 banging chicks.
Not fake chicks. Dude. Hey, Richie, don't be banging fake chicks. Might be fake chicks
by the time Richie's 72. But hey, listen. So Ford, I got one last question for you before we do a little break, and then we're going to come back with continue the conversation here. But Ford, let's get real practical here. When you're working with Olympic athletes or executives, Paralympic athletes, what's the first environmental change you have them make? And then what delivers the fastest performance upgrade once they've made that change? Ford.
It goes back to 60 seconds of space, Keith. You know, a lot of that started with my work at the wheelchair basketball team here at the university. We have 30 seconds on the shot clock on offense and 30 seconds on the shot clock on defense. So if you break this entire game down to its smallest parts, it's the offensive set of 30 seconds and the defensive set of 30 seconds. And collectively, obviously, it's not rocket science, it's 60 seconds. So that's really where that started. So when you talk about the environment has to get quiet, especially with elite level performers. So once I start to work with them, I try to be as quiet as possible and get them to be as quiet and still as possible, because now all this information comes up. They may have a underlying lingering injury that they've been nursing or ignoring for a long time that's limiting their performance. But once you're quiet, once you're still, your body's not going to lie to you. Your body's going to tell you everything it needs and everything it wants. And you can pay close attention to that. So being as quiet as possible, as still as possible, and let information come to you, and then decide how you want to approach the next step.
Richie, I see you grinning, man. What do you want to say, brother? You're like, this guy's speaking my language, isn't he?
Yeah. Oh my God, man. Yeah, absolutely. But he's not only speaking my language, he's like a guru. I can't remember. I use the Calm app, so I'm not like, I don't study the practice a lot, but there was one article that I was reading about, and it's like literally, your body starts talking to you when you listen, and it's like, hey, you have an ache in your lower back or whatever, like dig into it and fucking, just listen to it and let it talk to you. And I don't know. I think that's amazing, because it seems so far out, but it's not if we just take the time to do it.
We were just talking about this in our segment the other day. Remember, Richie? We were trying to explain to the people about, listen, the body talks. Nobody's listening. Right. You haven't been taught to listen. The body speaks a language. We just have never been taught to decode its language. The only language we know is, fuck, I'm starving, and God damn it, I ate too much. Yeah, that's about the extent of the average American's signals that they understand.
Well, and that's why it's so helpful for our audience and for our return listeners to hear Ford saying the same thing, because so many people come knock on your door, Johnny, going, "I need the secret, man. What's the secret?" And Richie, they're going, "Hey, what's your secret, Richie?" There actually isn't one. We got the expert here. We got the guru here. Ford is like, "No, there's no secret. Slow down for 60 seconds. Create some space, right, Ford? Create space. Have awareness." And then decide to move forward. But hey, Jimmy, we're going to walk these boys off the stage for a minute. We're going to do what we call a little local promo. We usually do the See Marty Fit Tip, but Marty's driving to the gym right now. Yeah, he's going to go hang out with some old folks at the Gold's Gym over there in Maryland. We're shaking Marty. Marty, you listening to us right now? You fucking hope you should be, man. Hey, listen, most people mistake motivation for transformation. Oh, yes, baby. That's why we're only accepting 10 people into the League of Business Athletes. Yes. The question isn't, do you want in? No. The question, more importantly, is, do you qualify? We're looking for 10 leaders ready to put in 100 days, commit 100 hours, focus on one life-changing mission. And listen, we're not giving you new systems. No. We're going to teach you how to listen to yourself. We're going to teach you how to show up. We're going to help you be accountable. There's no magic. You've just been hearing Ford Dyke for the last 12 minutes. There's no fucking magic. You've been hearing Johnny for months. There's no magic. You've been hearing Richie for months. There's no magic. It's called showing up. This isn't just about morning routines, nation. No, this isn't just about some super secret productivity hack. No, this is about complete performance engineering. You know what I'm talking about, Joe Fontana? You know what I'm talking about, Jack Dugan? You know what I'm talking about. Listen, the application for the League of Business Athletes, the League 100, is open, but we're selective. Your credit card is not just going to get you in the door. The credit card is the first step to the door. Now, here's what you're going to have to ask yourself. Do you qualify? Will you qualify to be in the League of Business Athletes? All right, let's dig deeper. Jimmy, let's bring it back up. Ford Dyke. Yes, Johnny and the gang, Richie. We're going to continue our conversation with Ford Dyke, and we're going to get to the science of performance engineering. And Richie, Ford, research shows that the brain makes decisions 7 seconds before you're conscious of them. Now, Dr. Ford's about to show us how to engineer that critical window for peak performance. Now, Ford, your research focuses on what you call the human experience. Break down what happens in those crucial moments between stimulus and response. And when you work with your elite athletes, how do elite performers engineer that gap for Dyke?
It starts with awareness, Keith. If you don't have awareness, then there is no gap for you. And what I mean by that is if you're not aware of that space and time, then it feels and looks that it just blurs. It just kind of falls from one space to the next. There is no segment. But as you start to build more awareness in your life of how do I feel internally? What does the environment feel like externally? How do those two things either align or disalign? How do I feel cognitively? How do I feel emotionally? How are all my systems running? Are they optimized? Or do I feel lethargic? Do I feel sluggish? Do I feel irritable? Do I feel that my hydration isn't optimizing? Can I sleep well or not sleep well? All the systems that are built in place inform you about what you need and when you need it. So the timing behind it as well. But until you sit quietly, you're not going to be aware of any of it. Once you are aware of it, though, you can't go back. Once you start to build awareness, you'll never go back. You'll constantly want to grow and evolve and build more and more and more. And then the more you have, it's like dials on an equalizer. You're in more control.
I was just saying that when we opened up. I was just saying how, look, the once you really get yourself dialed in, I was speaking in the morning specifically, that you can't unsee it. Once you get there, like, boom, you see something, you can't unsee it. You can't unring that bell. You just want to go back.
That's right.
Yeah.
So what's the practice? So we know sit quietly, but then, okay, how would I go about starting that to get to that awareness? Like, what's the mental process that I would, go through?
Great.
That's a good question, Rich. So a lot of the times when I start to interface with performers, I don't like to label them as athletes or like to label them as military installation, just performers in general, right? And if you break that further down, they're human beings. So it could be a CEO at a high level platform, could be an attorney. I mean, hell, it could be a woman at a nursing home. And I've worked with elderly individuals as well. It could be children at K-12, human beings, right?
Yeah.
When you start to work with human beings, if you allow them the space and time to just be, see that little space and time right there?
Oh, I love it, man. I got goosebumps.
That right there, that's where you start to feel. And once you start to feel, you never forget. You're always going to forget what someone told you. But when you start to have these visceral responses from the inside, now it gets more informative. And now your mind will start to open and the thoughts will start to go. And if you're able to just watch those thoughts like they're passing clouds in the sky, you can now decide what's serving me, what's not serving me, and which one of those do I want to put more attention into. It's an obvious answer for most. However, some people decide years and years and years go by to continue to put energy and effort towards things that disserve them.
Yeah.
It happens, but you still are at the driver's wheel. You still can decide, does this vehicle want to go forward? Does it want to go backwards? Do I need to take a left? Do I need to take a right? Do I need to speed up, slow down? Do I need to put that thing in park, throw the e-brake on, turn that shit off, and put it in storage for a few months and just let myself rest and digest on a retreat? It's an informative practice, but it's not anything complex. It's actually super simple, Rich, but that doesn't mean it's easy. It's one of the most challenging things you can try.
Yeah, let me jump on that right there, brother, because for me, I totally know what you're talking about, that place. But I basically I have to count my way into that space. And so, Rich, this might work for you, brother. This is what I do every goddamn morning. Sometimes I'll get there by 25, sometimes it's 125, but I sit in my chair. I got a certain place I sit, and I first breath is in, it's 1. Second breath is out, it's 2. And I just keep breathing. And it's like, it's because what I'm doing is I'm trying to all the shit that's swirling in my head and all the fucking life and everything that's in the way, I'm trying to slow it down enough that I can get to that space. And so if I really need to, I'll actually picture the number so I can actually just focus on one thing. And then pretty soon I start fucking hearing like these little bitty fucking sounds in the house that I wasn't aware of before. And next thing you know, I can actually hear my fucking breath. And then if I start to hear my pulse. Now all of a sudden I'm in this different place where I'm feeling that I wasn't before I counted my way into that space. The other morning I had to go to 133 to get there. And other mornings it might be 33, might be 50. It's just, I go in with the idea that I'm just going to slowly count. And the other thing too, my counting slows way the fuck down as I get deeper in. You know, I might start off with like a 1, 2, 3. By the time I get into the 70s, I might be like 71, 72. And next thing you know, all of a sudden I'm becoming aware. And so try to count your way in. That's what works for me.
Oh, I love that. Richie.
Yeah. What's up?
I said, no, you comment on that or you're good. Yeah.
Yeah, no. So my thing is like, since I use the Calm app, it's always, there's always an instruction, right? And
Yes.
it's not that I don't like that, because it does make sure that I do it, right? It keeps me on point. But, to what you guys are saying, like I would like to, whether it's a body scan or whatever, but when it's instructed in the Calm app, it's like, hey, all right, now move here. Now, well, hold on, I'm not done here. And then I move here. So, so that's kind of, perfect. This is, man, you just got to take the time out and focus where the focus needs to be. You don't always need somebody else telling you like, hey, now look at this.
Yeah.
So I need to focus more on that.
It's interesting, Johnny, to hear you say you had to count to 130, because as I've gotten close to my
33,
as I've gotten to know my friends here, Richie and Johnny and Marty and Ford, I'm looking at you and talking about John. I can tell that he had to count to 130 this week. One day, 133. And I don't mean that in a negative way, Johnny.
No, man. I was whenever the first day I got back to this house, I was fucking tracking slow, baby. It wasn't my internet, but it might as well have been.
Yeah, but I could absolutely know. But I think it's a positive thing, because the people around you, if you have that awareness, you could, like, I knew something was a little off with Johnny, right? And Richie, the thing that I would probably laugh with Johnny about is that we know Johnny is like, Ford, you're a coffee connoisseur. Well, Jon Andersen is a bidet connoisseur.
Oh, I love it.
I got to think that he spends time on the bidet, like just finding that gap in the space, because, Johnny's got these exceptional deep cheeks, right? So when he's on the bidet, he's using the bidet to surface the deep cheeks, and he creates that gap in space for himself there. Right. So, you know exactly.
And even what I do, it's even a little better. I don't know if I ever mentioned this, but when I'm on the toilet, that's my time where I read. Because
in the office. You're in the office.
Yeah, I mean, because I'm in that bathroom, and most people sit down and they're on their fucking phones. And what are you doing? All you're doing is promoting more of this shit. Well, I go straight, take a piss right out of the gate. I'm probably going to have to sit down, take a dump in the next few minutes. Well, I'm still, from the moment I get up, I'm trying to find that center. I'm trying to find that spot. So I don't look at my phone, because all that does is speed shit up, man. I'll start my count and I'll be fucking 1, 2, 3, 4, But if I don't look at my phone and I'm taking a nice dump, and crazy enough, I get into it, I start reading, I'll take a better dump. I'm slowing it down. So when I go to sit, I'm that much closer where I'll be. And then the bidet gives me such a nice cleanup experience. I don't get rattled getting ready to sit in silence.
I don't see how you guys read when you're taking a dump. Like a lot of times I don't take anything into the toilet, because like when I gotta go, it's like, oh fuck. I go in and it's like boom. I mean, sometimes it's quicker than a piss, and then I'm out.
Yeah.
But see that I could be that way too, but I'm going to get 3. So the question is, am I going to dump one off, clean myself up, go do something, come back a few minutes later? Or am I just going to sit there and chill and absorb some knowledge and some quiet time and wait for all 3?
Push.
Yeah. And you can't force it. It's coming when it wants to come.
Yeah.
Oh, mine's just like.
Well, the first one, like you, I'm sometimes I'm buckled down. I got the fucking cutter tightened up to get to the toilet, because
I can't tell you how many runs, like I got my shorts on and it's touching cotton, dude. And if I don't make it to the bathroom, like if you're out walking in Austin, Texas, that light in the bush is probably Rich Ingram, because I couldn't make it to the
Dude white.
every fucking morning, man. Every morning.
That's right.
Oh, brother, I get it, man. You get those things there. It's like that thing's starting to peak. It's like you got to be careful, because when you push your pants down and you fold over, that little bit of pressure, it just might, you may not be sitting down. You better be on track with sitting down, because you're going to have a loaf sitting on the back of the toilet.
So you can see, Ford, our morning show has turned on a new form of morning conversation for men and humans to get themselves going here. But Ford, as we wrap up our segment, and brother, you got to come back. You absolutely have to come back and hang out.
All in, man. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I want you to give a practical bit of advice for Business Athlete Nation before we walk you out the door here. You've mentioned through your research, through your posts, through your content, that people track wrong metrics. What data points actually predict breakthrough performance, and what should we measure for Dyke that we're not?
Super simple, and you're never going to forget it. HUMAN, hydrate, measure your hydration. Unplug, measure how much time that you're resting. Move, measure your sedentary versus your active behavior. Aspire, how much time are you setting intentions and goals in your life to move forward, to progress? And N is nourish. What are you putting in your body? And like Jon and Rich just explained, it's not always about intake. What's coming out of your body as well? Pay close attention to the backside, because that's informative as well.
Yes. Awesome. Ford Dyke joining us from Alabama, performance coach with us. Ford, where can Business Athlete Nation find you?
FordDyke.com, FordDyke.com. Super simple.
Awesome. You're going to come back, hang out with us again. We'll talk pickleball next time too, maybe?
Yeah, man, let's do it. Just not 5:30 in the morning, but I'm just fucking with you. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good.
I know you are. Ford Dyke, one of the OGs here for Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends. I'm a huge fan of yours, Ford. You come back, hang out with us again. I know Richie and Johnny would love to have you back as well, but hey,
100%.
It's at this point we like to do the lifestyle tip. Ford, have a good one, brother. Take care, okay?
Thanks, guys. Take it easy. Have a great day.
You too. All right, Jimmy, you can walk me and Richie out of here. We got Johnny for the lifestyle tip, and we got George Jansen coming up just in the green room hanging out for us. Jack Dugan, good time. Good morning, guys. Good morning, Shelly. Good morning, Joe. Let's bring Jory up in a minute. Johnny, you're up, pal. Let's do it.
So remember when we were young, we all had big dreams. We wanted to be astronauts, lawyers, doctors, sports stars. We all had these ideas of what life was going to be all about. And somewhere along the way, we adapted some limiting beliefs, and we started to make excuses, and we started to procrastinate. And then all of a sudden one day we realized that we're midlife, and we wonder what happened to all the cool shit, all the amazing shit that we wanted to do in our lives. And then we realized that we got really good at doing it tomorrow. And that one bad habit completely changed the trajectory of your life. Well, I'm here to tell you, it doesn't make a difference how old you are, whether you're 30, 40, 50, it's not too late, because you have the ability to alter how you behave. You have the ability to alter the habits you install in your day, or as I call the 24-hour loop, because you have the power to stop procrastinating. You have the power to make your morning a place where you get ahead of the curve. You have the power to do whatever the fuck you choose. You just got to stop doing it tomorrow.
That rock and roll, as Johnny would say. Listen, I'm going to segue from Johnny's comment there. You have the power now. It's the month of November. You have the power to say no to something so you can say yes to a lot of things. You have the power to say no to something so you can say yes to a lot of things, because you can have both. And we have George Jansen joining us here, our resident dietitian, expert, food expert, and maybe even the resident poop expert, Jory, because when you got to put food in the body, the food's got to get out of the body. And we got Jory joining us here this morning. Jory, new research shows that 84% of cholesterol medications might be unnecessary.
Oh, my God, what a topic.
But only if you understand how to engineer your nutrition. Now, Jory, there's a guy listening right now. There's a female, there's a guy. He's rolling over and he's about to walk over to the bathroom and get his cholesterol medication. He's like, oh, hold on, what the fuck? What are they talking about? And then Johnny's like, and Johnny and Ford have been talking about, yeah, all these accumulative decisions you've been making over those years are putting you in this position right now. So, Jory, let's take some time today to talk about the protein breaker on how nutrition can affect cholesterols and so forth. And I can see Johnny and Richie leaning into this, but Jory, let's get after it, my friend.
Yeah. So it really depends on your makeup, right? Your genetic makeup. Absolutely does. A lot of times I've had clients where they're like, you know what? I eat well, I exercise well, I sleep well, I don't need a ton of excess sugar, and like relatively balanced though. Like they're not crazy insane, but they need the medication. It's just like I need contacts or glasses or I'm not going to see you. It's just how it is. There's nothing I can do nutritionally. There's nothing I can do through exercise. It is what it is. That's some people.
Basically coming from mom and dad, so to speak. Right. Correct. Yep.
Correct.
Okay.
So there is that case, but there's the other side where for many, many, many years, and I was educated back in the 90s, how to work with people that had high cholesterol, and it was all about the fat. That's all it was. So if you take care of, get rid of or significantly reduce saturated fat, which is animal fat, then you're on your way to healthy cholesterol. That's still a principle. But it's not the only thing. It's also then the excessive sugar that we're finding out along with the saturated fat. So that's why when we look at things like not just steak, we're looking at dessert like cheesecake, right?
Or Coca-Cola.
Right, exactly. Those simple sugars are changing things up. And so it's not just a matter of medication, it's a matter of looking at your genetic factors. Then I think you probably need medication. So, if it's dietary, like the difference between type 1 and type 2 diabetes.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. But you said something which sticks with me because so I'm 52, Johnny's 52, Richie's 41, you're 28, and
20 years ago.
Yeah, right. So good for you, Jory. So then, okay, good. So then we're all relatively in the same demographic. We grew up with a lot of the same like science and, our parents and ourselves. And it's like, oh, wait a minute, but science has changed since then. And we've learned a lot more since then. And Jory, our audience is myself and our audience is Richie. Our audience is your husband, Jory. Our audience is Jon Andersen. Let's take a few moments right now. And I don't know if it's about re-educating, but just continue to emphasize that the choices we're making daily can have an effect on our genetic makeups as well. Johnny, I see you wanted to jump in on this one as well. Jory, go ahead.
I just wanted to Jory, talk a little bit up because people, the way that the media presents cholesterol is it's like this evil thing. Can you explain to everybody that, cholesterol is actually needed? It's healthy. It depends. Obviously, your lifestyle has to do with it. If you're a fat son of a bitch laying on the couch playing video games, eating cereal, okay, cholesterol, it's a different deal than if you're an active, healthy person. So people, de-demonize cholesterol, if you will.
Yeah. Well, it's like I mentioned last time, there are different types. There's total fat, right? There's total cholesterol, and then you segment it out into the different types of cholesterol. And so we even need a certain amount of saturated fat in our diet. We're going to get that. We need it. It's more highly available in animal fats. But we want a balance. We want a ratio of our LDL, or we typically call it lousy.
Yes.
Cholesterol. And we want a higher amount of HDL, our happy cholesterol. And so it's a nice balance. And how we do that is by making sure that we include those, we call them heart healthy fats, right? So by adding those in, we help with that balanced ratio of cholesterol, because cholesterol is needed for health in our body. That's why we have it. Just like cortisol, right? It's known as the stress hormone, but we need to have a certain level of cholesterol, but in excess, not healthy. And same thing with that ratio for the types of cholesterol that we have. And so by including things like monounsaturated fat, polyunsaturated fat, so that's mostly plant sources. So pumpkin seeds, Brazil nuts, flaxseed, chia seeds, hemp hearts, almond butter, all of those sort of things. Those are going to help balance that ratio. and fat helps us stay fuller longer. So we don't want those fat-free diets. It's not going to work. It's not going to help us in terms of appetite control, things like that. But also in terms of looking at weight management, depending on your gene makeup, there is research now that shows that based on your gene type, you may or may not have to watch the fat content as much as others. So it's really understanding and learning how your body works at a personalized level, and then working on that from there. So like I said, I worked with a chef who really understood his body, but his cholesterol was through the roof. So he needed the medication to help support that. He was eating well. He was exercising, all those sort of things. So it's really understanding, and it's not a fat is evil. It's like, no, fat is good. It's just figuring out how you utilize fat for your particular body.
Yes.
He said something that, you said something which kind of struck with me, that you've worked with a chef that eats really well, probably prepares exceptional food for himself, yet he still has to be on medication. At that point, you're probably talking about that's the genetics coming up there, isn't it, Jory?
That is the genetics. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a type 1 diabetic versus a type 2. The type 2 did it to himself. The type 1, his parents gave it to him.
Yes, I get you. So then, Jory, let's get into a blueprint and let's make this actionable as we work towards wrapping up this segment. Now, nation, we're never giving medical advice. We're simply providing information for you guys to consider. But maybe there, and we started off this segment, Jory, around a percentage of the population is on cholesterol medication. Maybe someone's looking to get off it or make changes. What would you recommend as a licensed dietitian, nutritionist, food expert? What changes would you recommend to me, saying, Jory, I would like to go to my doctor over time and see if I can get off this or change the dosages of it? What markers should I track, or what changes should I look for? And how can I start first with nutrition?
Yeah. So I tend to look at overall lifestyle.
Okay.
Not just the nutrition piece, because they go hand in hand.
Okay.
But I would look at like what seems to be the one thing that's easiest for you to start to work on. Because if it's easier, it doesn't mean it's easy, but it's easier, then that's something that is doable and actionable and likely.
Win,
and then you feel committed, right? So if I would say one of the things would be increasing the F word, fiber.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You increase fiber content, you're moving things, right? Some of you move along a little faster than others. So in sport and exercise, watch the fiber timing to exercise.
Yes.
But absolutely, I would start with, let's increase fiber content. Most of us are deficient. We're not meeting our 25 to 35 grams of fiber we need in a day. So start there, because that's going to help. That's been shown to help with cholesterol levels. And then you build from there, hydration, get things moving. And then maybe we're looking at swapping out some of the saturated for the unsaturated fats, and just keep taking steps. It's more doable that way.
Yeah. Such a great tip, basically. Going after the low-hanging fruit. What's the easiest? Because once you actually take that step and you're in motion and you've got that established, then it's so much easier to go after the next step. Don't go after the most difficult one, because it's going to be very difficult to establish the habit of attacking that one. So great tip, Jory. Go get that low-hanging fruit. Make it easy to start.
Yeah. What I like about the practical advice that Jory offered up too is going after your fiber. And we've talked about this with tracking protein or carbs before, even, Richie, is that we think we're getting enough, but until we actually either write it down or putting it into an app, we really recognize how much we're not getting, right, Jory? So it's like, okay, Keith, go increase your fiber. Okay, I'm going to go eat this. Oh, didn't really have much fiber in it. And go eat this. Oh, didn't have much fiber in it. Oh, I had a big bowl of broccoli. Yeah, but that didn't get much fiber. So until you really kind of create that awareness, Richie, you're actually not getting what you're probably getting in your body.
The other thing too, you guys, is that people are so scared of like, oh, I can't eat eggs because I have high cholesterol. It's not the cholesterol in food that's causing the high cholesterol. It's not. It's saturated fat. It's sedentary lifestyle. It's not getting the balance of fiber. So I actually started working with a client this week, and one of the things we were looking at was his recall, and it was really hard to figure out based on recall, what is he really doing? Because he travels a lot and he's involved in sport. And so we discussed about over the next 2 weeks, he's just going to track his intake. We're going to look at beyond macros. We're going to look beyond. We're going to look at fiber content. We're going to look at the timing of when his food intake is coming on into his life. What are the changes in bowel movements? Like, we're taking a deep dive. And before I give a recommendation, we need to know what is he currently doing and what then it looks realistic to start to apply to create the changes he needs.
Yeah.
It's not a matter of here's your meal plan or it's, where are you right now? And based on your life and what's realistic. If you're traveling a lot, it's not easy to create the changes that you might need to do. So it's, low hanging fruit first, which is a big deal.
And that's why I believe much of the advice we strive to offer up on the show here is so simple and so actionable, right? Track your sleep. Johnny often says you don't deserve to go to the gym because you didn't sleep tonight. And Jory, instead of me coming to you saying I need magic, you're saying no, slow down, track your fiber first. Right. And because we all want the quick fixes, and yet we keep iterating on this show. There is no quick fixes, right? It's doing the basic stuff and getting after it. So
the quick fix is doing the shit every goddamn day.
Yeah, that's exactly it. But again, though, creating the awareness because we think we're doing it. No, track your sleep last night. And listen, nation, we have these watches. There's so much technology that could track stuff. So the ability to track your metrics is easier than ever. So,
and real quick, the last thing I want to on this whole thing is we're talking about making changes for health. Most people think it's difficult only because the people around them have convinced them it's difficult.
Yes.
This shit is not difficult. You're just surrounding yourself with a bunch of people who tell you it's difficult because they don't want to do it. So you got to really kind of look, is it really difficult, or are you just kind of repeating the dumb shit that the unhealthy people around you are saying?
It's true. It's true. All right, Jory, before we say goodbye and catch up for the weekend here, Jory, I know you're a mom, and usually at this point of the show, we bring Kristina Flynn on to do the lifestyle break. But Kristina had to leave yesterday because she was busy taking care of a situation within her house here. And I
feel for her. That's a tough one. I remember going through that.
Yeah, so I gotta show you here, Jory, that Kristina Flynn is busy managing this. It was the remover of the pacifier days and Kristina Flynn's house. So it's habit changing, right? It doesn't matter how old you are, we're changing habits, right?
Oh my goodness, yes. Yeah, my daughter's 13 now, so she's past that part, but there's other things.
We're removing from our kids' lives, right? So, all right, Jory, listen, I appreciate you as always. We've got the GOAT of all time and our nutrition expert, our dietitian expert, our food expert, Jory Jansen. Quickly, before you rock and roll, what do you got going on this weekend? Jets game, Bomber game, what do you got going on this weekend?
I've got being a mom. My husband is on a trip with his friend in England. Ben. And so well-deserved. He should be there. So I'm just going to have some slumber party time and just enjoy life.
Well, that's fun. That's fun. Good for you. Well, listen, thanks for hanging out with us, Jory. You have a great weekend, great week with the family. Enjoy the slumber time, and go Jets, go Bombers, go. And we'll see you on Monday, okay?
All right. See you guys.
Awesome. Take care.
Thank you, Jory.
There goes Jory Jansen. All right, Jimmy. I'm not doing the promo. No, not doing the promo. I'm just too excited. I want to dance to some Highline pipes. Yes. I think Fontana wants me to dance. Fontana, you still here? I'm going to get Keith and Richie in the kilt here and going to get some dancing going on here. Yes. Morning to the Lab with Keith and friends. This is the Morning Loop Reloaded. The first 15 minutes of the hour to get your day started, to get your ass out of bed, to help you achieve those big, audacious goals. We just wrapped up the first hour with Ford Dyke. We talked performance. Man, the guy dropped nuggets, eh, John?
I just got to say, so just the name Ford Dyke is cool as hell. Right?
I know.
It's sounds like a fucking name that was given to him for a movie or a television show, right?
Yes.
And I say this with love, Ford. Then the motherfucker shows up on camera, and it's like he looks like he's fucking dressed in a costume that's even fucking cooler than his name. Like, Jesus Christ, is this guy for real?
Total pack.
And then he comes in and he's just filled with all this fucking cool substance. It's like, man, what fucking planet is this guy? Like a fucking Martian we just haven't discovered? There's a whole different race of people that are cool as hell and full of really cool things to say. He is the shit, man. Or if you're listening, you got it going on, baby.
I agree. And Richie, you called him a guru. I knew when I said to Kristina, we got to get Ford on the show because Richie and Johnny haven't met Ford yet. You guys were going to have some like, holy fuck, who is this dude? He's a cool motherfucker. And he's a pickleball.
I want to meet up with him for coffee. I grew up right outside of Auburn. I mean, I'm over there for Christmas. Okay. So, yeah.
And the thing I love too is that he kind of controls his environment with this almost like subtle borderline silence.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
And it's this fucking, it's like Jesus Christ, this motherfucker has got to go. You got to go in every single way it's possible.
He had command and control by saying nothing. Not too many people can do that. By saying nothing, he controlled what was going on. Like, it was amazing. I mean, it literally was
man.
like,
The fucking name like that, a fucking beard like that, a hairdo like that, and the fucking shit, the things he said. Fucking A, man. It's pretty clear to see how he could do it, why he could do it. I love it, man.
He's a professor. Cool. He's a professor, and like, so I'm sure his students.
Did you say doctor at one point?
Yes,
the motherfucker, and I say this with love. The motherfucker's a doctor on top of all that. Jesus Christ, what else is in there? You know.
Yeah, Marty's gonna have to watch out, man. I don't know if Ford's in a relationship or not, but there might be some ladies just waiting for Ford to become available. If he's not available, between Ford and Marty,
I think Anderson's getting a boner right now.
Well, you know, I tell you, I fucking really enjoy meeting people that have taken, because it's you know it is. It's like he's when I say presence, it's everything. You know, because you meet people all the time and they're really good here, but they fucking suck here, and you could spot this shit. You know, he's just kind of taken and created this thing, and it's really easy to spot.
Well, and what I love about Ford is that we always talk about being authentic and real. Like the dude is as authentic as can be.
Yeah. Well, and you know, that's it right there. He doesn't give a shit what anybody thinks. And that's fucking awesome, dude.
Because he knows his shit. Right.
Yeah.
So when you know your shit, Johnny, Richie, when you know your shit, you can kind of, you're able to be this.
When you know your shit, you can talk about your shit and not give a shit.
Yeah, exactly. So
no, I'm talking about literally talking about your shit, like on the toilet shit, and not give a shit. You know?
So it's interesting because it's clear then that I have permission from my co-host. We're going to have Ford back on the show, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. He's dropping nuggets. All right. So yesterday, boys, we leaned into things that society judge men on being too perhaps feminine and not masculine enough. And I wanted to continue with the list here. So the topic, just to be really clear on, is that men reveal the things they truly enjoy that are often unmasculine, is what this article refers to. And yesterday we talked, about everything that we all do on this show, but, skincare, we talked about crocheting and knitting, growing and getting flowers, taking the backseat on paperwork, braiding hair, crying and expressing emotion, cocktails instead of mocktails, cuddling and subtle acts of love, poetry, long relaxing baths, and the list continues, gentlemen. So, Richie, men who love to collect stuffed animals. Masculine
stuffed animals. That's an interesting.
Well, see, here's the thing. Like, I don't know, man. I think masculine or unmasculine, I don't care. But I just go to Hollywood, and they're always showing some serial killer that has like a collection of stuffed animals.
Well,
so I have because a negative connotation.
Well, that's crazy. Is that and many times when I would travel. Yeah. My wife would put something in my bag that I didn't know about. Like she would hide something in there. And there were times where she would like take one of the kids' stuffed animals and put it in there, like a stuffed animal that I gave them, or just something that made me feel close to home,
That's different.
And
that's different.
Yeah. But keep in mind, I'd have that fucking stuffed animal on my bed and my fucking wrestling buddies would come in. What the fuck is this? It's my fucking stuffed animal. That's my daughter's stuffed animal. Shut the fuck up is what that is.
I love that. I love that. Like that's pretty cool.
Richie, I think we got to get clear though with Johnny on something. Hold on. So Richie, Johnny just told us that his wife was putting stuffed animals in his package bag, in his traveling bags, like not underwear, not love letters. Johnny, fucking stuffed animals, like not well, like
all sorts of. She'd put all sorts of stuff. She'd put fucking notes in there. She'd put things in there that would make me feel like I was closer to home. I mean, what we would do literally a lot of times before the day I left, because I'd be gone sometimes 3-4 weeks at a time. It was fucking brutal. And what we would do is we would make memories. The day before I left, we'd watch a fucking movie, we'd do something, and I would be taking like songs with me on the road that I had been listening to with my family. So, when it comes down to it, I think a stuffed animal is what I'm getting at is I think a stuffed animal is representing something, and whether that's a stuffed animal or whatever it is, it's representing something that's close to you, close to your heart. who gives a shit what it is? Stuffed animal, you know, whatever it needs to be.
That's fair. All right, we're talking unmasculine things that men do that people judge them on. The next one, makeup. Johnny, Richie, do you judge men who wear makeup, and is it unmasculine when we decide to wear makeup?
You know, I come from the fucking world of you know, magazines and TV and you know, Jesus Christ, I've had makeup put on me more times than I can fucking count. You know, but then there are the guys that wear makeup just because they want to look good. Fuck, if that's what floats their boat, fucking do it. You know.
So the question is, and let's look at this as black and white. Is it unmasculine? Yes, that's unmasculine. Okay, but I don't judge them. Like, I give a shit. You know, a guy could glue a lipstick thing to his forehead. I don't give a fuck. But
well, I would say the unmasculine part would be if you're using the makeup to try to look like female, right? Then you're choosing to use makeup to get away from masculinity versus if you're just choosing to use makeup to make what you feel your masculinity look better. I think it would be the intent of the makeup.
I agree with that. Yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, I got in high school, what was it called? The powder puff, where the chicks play the football and we were the cheerleaders. Yeah. Fuck, man, I had the full blown fucking wig, they put makeup over my whole fucking face. It wasn't just the lipstick, you know. I wore that shit full bore. And that was the front end, the very front end. I didn't really have that I've accepted me yet. So that was going out on a limb at that point. But I think it was helpful. It really was.
I think for me, this is as much reclassifying. So yes, Richie, maybe in the traditional sense of what is masculine, one might say, well, wearing makeup is not. But maybe when we work to, you know, with especially what we're doing here in the lab, which is maybe redefining what masculinity is. I think you're saying it as well, Richie, and Johnny is too. Who the fuck cares if you wear makeup?
Yeah.
If you feel great wearing makeup, good for you. Yeah.
See, I think here's not necessarily an issue, but when we label things, whenever we label things, we are conforming to society. And so that's just how it is. So whenever we say masculine versus unmasculine, the norm when you say that is what society has deemed that.
You are right.
So I that's why I try not to label things, you know, because it's like, man, who gives a fuck, man? You want to wear some makeup to take away your shine, so when you go out you look more handsome. Like, who the fuck? Yeah,
your label. I agree with you, Rich. Your label should be, this is fucking me, and if you like it, good. Stay here. If you don't, just do it over there.
What is funny, because I was saying to Lauren last week, Johnny and Richie, like, we're on a TV show now every single day, right? So I'm like, fuck, maybe I should start putting some makeup on, baby. She's like, well, you know, I can teach you. I can put the powder on, because sometimes I leave the gym here and I'm all shiny face. But like, fuck, I don't care, because we're in a world of, we're trying to grab attention, you're trying to build a business, and if makeup is part of it, then makeup is part of it. Next one, complimenting other guys, some would say is not masculine. I'm going to offer this first. Oh. Fucking wrong. I'm the first person to tell Rich that I love him. I'm the first person to text Johnny, tell him I love him. I'm the first person to compliment that Rich is looking good. Richie's looking jacked. Speaking of Richie, Johnny, you got to go look at a picture from Richie back when he was going.
I'm the one who discovered that picture. I was like, who the fuck is that good looking dude?
Heroin. No, not the heroin. Like back when Richie was like fucking jacked like me, like a bodybuilder, Johnny. Like Richie was huge.
But we started this whole segment going off on how we were all just complimenting the shit out of our last guest, Ford. I mean, we just this whole thing blew out of the water. I mean, you might have thought that I was having a man crush because I was going off so much, you know, but that's the way I feel. That's the way I feel. It's cool as hell. And I'm going to say it.
Yes.
You know, I didn't, when I was growing up, again, like my dad, he wasn't a bad father. He just wasn't around a lot. And I don't think I hugged my dad until after, or said I love you until after high school. Okay. Yeah. Like that's how my household was. So it's been really difficult for me to make that transition into being more, I don't know, having more empathy or, you know, more caring. You know what I mean? And so, because yesterday I had my two best friends in college got married. And I remember I was like, I always felt like the third wheel when they told me. And so I was talking to him on speakerphone yesterday, and Jamie says, hey, we love you. And Rob was like, all right, we love you. And I could feel it inside, like, I had trouble saying I love you to Rob because I do, man. I would fucking die. I would take a bullet for that guy.
Yes,
but it does.
yes.
When you're talking to a bro like, hey, love you, man, that's different than coming out and just straight from the heart, I love you.
Yes.
And
Well,
so I'm working on it.
Check this out. I mean, another thing too is that I break it down because when I tell a friend I love him, it's like, I love you. I take ownership.
Yes.
People are love you. Who the fuck do you love? Who's love? I'm taking ownership. I love you. And granted, I was lucky enough to be in an environment where my parents they had no problem saying they love me. And because I had no problem saying I love them. And once I really became unapologetically okay with myself, I could tell anybody I love them. If they don't fucking like, I don't say it because I want a response. I say it because this is how I feel.
Yeah. So I don't want to be tangential here. I want to be cognizant of the time that we have. I keep gay people in high regard. And the reason why is because they were born into a society that didn't allow them to be who they are, at least when we were growing up, right? Like I grew up in the deep South in the 80s and 90s. Like, no, if you were gay, man, you better not tell anybody. You might get hung, right?
Yes.
And so for a gay person to come out and be completely free with who they are, I have always held that in the highest regard because I want to be that. I want to look up to them and emulate that, to go on the dance floor and dance like nobody's fucking watching, right? And I know that their life has been hard, but I do. If there are any gay people that are out there watching, like, hey, you are setting the example of what other people should emulate to completely and truly be who you are, and I value that highly.
Richie, I'm going to tell you, Richie. So I got 11 years on you. You're 41. I'm 52. Richie, I was you, man. So I love my dad, love my parents, but my dad didn't express those words that I was so desired to hear. That I love you, so desired to hear it. Right. So it messed a lot of me up through life and trying to figure that out. And I have my son and my two daughters who I use those words often. But I'll tell you, Rich, I've made it a real point. And it took me to probably my late 30s. Maybe in around your age, Richie, where I started learning that it was okay to start communicating the way I wanted to communicate. So in many ways, Richie, I'm actually was on your journey. So to hear you communicating the way you communicate right now, I'm like, fuck yeah, because I could see it, because I can relate to it, right? So it's not uncommon for me now I'll send a note to Johnny, tell him how I'm feeling about him. It's not common.
100%. I love those fucking, because you even send videos. You don't even text in many cases. And the thing about it, I think when you're truly expressing love and you realize you're expressing love because you want to, and there's no strings attached, that's when it gets easier, because people are like, oh, I told him I loved him. He didn't say anything back. Well, fuck, are you doing it because you're looking for a response, or are you doing it because you're expressing how you feel? And again, it comes down to, what is are you really being you, or are you fishing for some sort of affection from someone that do you need something, or are you doing it because you're truly expressing how you feel, because how you feel is how you feel, and you're going to stand by that irregardless of what someone says back.
And Richie, you have one son, right? 2 daughters and a son, right?
That's right. Yeah, I go girl, boy, girl.
Yeah. Girl, boy,
and I kiss that motherfucker. I tell him I love him. I pick him up and swinging him around like I'm never gonna see him again. I get that motherfucker so sloppy kisses, and I love his way. And he will, every time I pick him up, he makes sure he kisses me on the cheek or on the nose. Like I make sure.
I love that because you're doing it. Right? So Richie, you're changing a habit. Like you're changing a habit, right? So
you're basically changing that generational curse that we talked about not too long ago. That generational curse, we end up passing shit down. That are we passing down the shit that we want our kids to do, or are we passing shit down we don't want our kids to do? And so you took your situation and said, you know what, I'm gonna fucking change this shit. I'm gonna change the pattern. And that's brother, that's really, really powerful shit. If more adults would recognize, I mean, it was a part of my lifestyle tip the other day. Either you're going to heal for your kids, or they're going to have to heal from you.
Yeah. Like Rich, you're doing it. That's why I called you out, man, because you're doing it.
So,
Well, what was cool because you talk about masculinity or whatever. I had my son in jiu-jitsu, and so the other day, I guess it would have been 2 days ago, Wednesday, he stops training because he's only like 4. You know, he stops and he's like, Daddy, and I was like, hey buddy, and he was like, I love you. And then started going again. And I was like,
See? So fuck, man. You lost 3 minutes. Like, you're changing a habit, right? And what I like about it, Johnny, looking at you, John, is that Richie was doing it and wasn't even aware of it until we brought it up now. Right? Because like you can see kind of in the change of your expression, Richie, because you're like, holy fuck, yeah, you're right, because you're changing a habit, because your boy's going to wake up in 10, 15 years from now, and accumulatively, you've taught him what you have missed out on. Right. So that to me is fucking powerful stuff. So, but listen, we're going to keep on this topic next week about these topics that guys feel unmasculine about. But I want to wrap up the next 5 minutes here because I know Richie's got to go and Johnny's got to go. But I want to keep getting to know Richie. I want our audience to keep getting to know Richie. And let's take a few moments here to segue, Johnny, from something that Ford Dyke said. And Richie, you connected over Auburn. So let's just throw this one question on the table. Are you from Auburn? You from Alabama? Like, tell Business Athlete Nation why you leaned in so fun when Ford was like, yeah, I'm an Auburn dude. Richie.
Oh, no, man. I'm not, dude. I'm Alabama.
So,
you know, and I know you're from Canada. So, the Crimson Tide. But I grew up, or I was born in Birmingham. My parents met in medical school at the University of Alabama, Birmingham. And my dad started his practice in LaGrange, Georgia, which is 40, 35 miles away from Auburn, Alabama. Matter of fact, when I graduated high school, we got in-state tuition to Auburn because LaGrange was so close to Auburn University. But yeah, my college did not have a football team, the University of North Georgia. So my parents went to Alabama. My uncle went to, so I just grew up as an Alabama fan. And, thankfully we have a good football team, and Auburn does not. But they make they make good tailgate parties, and I guess their education is pretty good. I know a lot of good people from there.
Yeah. You know what's crazy about this segment is I don't even remember the last whatever it was, the non-masculine thing was we just fucking took off in a direction talking about some really cool shit.
Yes. Oh yeah, we did. We were talking.
It normally always ends up back at your deep cheeks, though.
It does.
We need a statistic because I'm telling you. Okay. So when it comes down to it, the deep cheeks is two sides of the equation. So I'm gonna talk. We've talked about my deep cheeks, but there's the deep cheeks on the other side of the equation. See, I like deep cheeks on my lady. So here's what you got to do. If you're to understand how to gauge the deep cheeks is a knuckle system, right? So what you got to do is you got to, obviously you're not talking about yourself. You're talking about does your partner have the cheeks that you want? So you got to basically take what you're looking for is between a third and a fourth knuckle. So as you start sliding those things between the cheek, if you only got a knuckle in there, dude.
If you only got a knuckle in there, you got to tell her to start squatting. You got to tell her to start lunging.
Man, that's not where hands go. You're You're not actually breaking the cutter loose. All you're doing is you're just going in to touch the cutter. Now, and you do that in the mirror, because from the side you can see how many knuckles do you get out of that. Because if I'm looking for a triple knuckle cheek. That's what I want 3 knuckles to disappear. That's what I'm looking for. That's a deep cheek on the female I'm looking for right there. Richie, I'm just picturing like you with your clients saying like, no,
it's not my client. No, it's not my clients. I'm not doing my clients weird. I'm talking about my ladies in my life. That's,
Well, I know that, but I'm still thinking about like, you go to your kinesiologist and they're doing all these like hip metrics and you're doing like Doc, you're doing this all wrong, Doc. It's all about the knuckles. Come on, Doc, let's go.
We got Greg Step. Greg, we got to get you on the show here, man. Greg was going to be on the show a couple weeks ago, but a hurricane showed up in his world. Greg's in the comments here going, so first of all, he joins the conversation, boys, and he's like, expectation of any behavior is the fast road to disappointment. I can't remember what part of the conversation we were in when Greg said that, but then Johnny, he drops this. Look at the emoji. Wow. That took a very weird turn.
Well, check this out. But here's the thing. You got to be careful, fellas, because if you use the knuckle system on your wife or your girlfriend, right, be ready. She's going to turn that around on you. And if you're not a triple knuckler, you better be fucking careful, because you can't be asking for a triple knuckle if you don't have a triple knuckle cheek.
No, you're like, is this a sneak attack? Or is this, like,
no, this is like, look, let's just make sure that we're up to par here. This is like, okay, we got to make sure that we're staying up to par with how we're eating, how we're exercising. Are you squatting enough? Are you lunging properly? Let's do a deep cheek test.
You're not getting rid of them if they go down to 2 knuckles.
Where's Marty?
So, fellas, remember, if you're gonna do the knuckle test on your lady, you better have a triple knuckle yourself, or because you can't ask for something you don't have.
We are always dropping nuggets. We are always giving you guys things to think about, and we're always trying to give practical advice. And listen, this show is all about things you never know what's going to come out next. And as Greg Stepp discovered, you never know the weird turns that conversations might take. We started off in Auburn in Alabama, and then we ended up with Richie, the
triple. No, need a triple knuckle. Just so everybody understands what that looks like. So here's so what you're looking for is those knuckles just keep disappearing. Okay, there's a triple knuckler. So that means that's the depth of the cheek right there. That's a triple knuckle.
Richie, why aren't you taking notes? You always do.
Yeah, no shit, Richie. You should be writing vigorously right now, Richie.
Johnny, Richie's always taking fucking notes for everything he does.
I don't need notes for this. It's stuck in my head forever.
You know what, brother? You're correct, because it's a very simple system, because I'm all about simple.
That's right. I mean, look, I was in the infantry. I am too, man. You got to keep it simple. But look, what I want to go back to Coca-Cola real quick, because it was brought up like when we were talking about cholesterol, and I just to throw something out there, so hopefully people quit fucking Coca-Cola or any soda for that matter that is, whatever, Coca-Cola, Dr.
Yes,
so
Richie.
I worked at a chemical plant when I got out of the military, and there was a product that they had that goes into sodas, and it was so hazardous that if you would have dropped something into it, it would disintegrate. And we used to joke around like, "Hey, I'm gonna murk that motherfucker and drop him into the whatever tank."
Yeah,
you're putting that shit into your body. I know that it's just minute, but it doesn't.
Well, is this somehow leading back to the deep cheek knuckle test system?
Not at all. I just hate fucking Coca-Cola and sodas that much. Unless I'm running for a very long time, they do the good things to my body. But just nonchalantly having a fucking Coca-Cola, just know that there are chemicals in that will literally disintegrate objects, and you're putting that harmful chemical.
I've heard about that. I've heard about that. But I got another weird kind of question here. So in many cases, and it's happened plenty of times in my life, because I talk about weird shit. When somebody gets uncomfortable enough with something I'm talking about, they'll just like abruptly change the topic.
Well, I want to bring.
Did that just happen right here, Richie? Is that what just happened? We went from
I don't have any knuckles. I didn't know how to.
But you only need one hand. You don't need two hands, because the cheeks are you don't need to do this. This is just the actual cheek. This is just like just for the drill of seeing this. You only need one hand. You got one hand.
You gotta hold them still.
No. This is a voluntary thing.
I think we might have to maybe do like a visual representation, Richie. But hey, we got Greg Stepp coming in here. Johnny, Greg's got an important question for you, Johnny. Richie, you got to pay attention too. Greg's wondering, is the triple knuckle test a surprise thing, or am I supposed to warn her first?
This is. Well, I guess, you could probably have fun with both sides of the equation, but it's a voluntary thing.
And then Richie, or Greg says, he's risking losing the other one if you do.
That's right. That's right. Look, I will tell you, one of the most sexiest things for me is seeing a woman in either running shorts or like running leggings. And that to me, like, if that ass is put together and she is fit, I know we have something in common already.
Yes.
Like, I don't need to measure that. Like,
and you know brother, I so with you, but you know what's even more sexy is when those running pants or those shorts are just that crack is just fucking gobbling up that fucking those shorts or those pants. It's just gobbling it up.
I don't like it that big. I like a runner's ass because
I do too. It's a muscle butt. I'm after. It's a muscle butt. I'm after. I don't want the big old fluffy fucker that you got to hold in position to test. It's like a butt that looks like it's being clinched all the time.
Yes.
There you go. Okay.
Yes. Okay. I'm oh Lauren, I love you, baby. We'll just leave that there. But
so whoever was saying that, don't think this should be a voluntary thing. You know, it's like we're just calling a spade. You know, hey, are we keeping our shit deep or not?
We got Greg chiming in as well. And Greg, you got to get you on the show here soon, brother. Spandex is the enemy of the truth. Isn't that true, right? Because spandex shows it all. So it is the enemy of the truth or the purveyor of the false, however you want to look at that. But all right, it's we're coming to the end of the show here, boys. I know you got to rock and roll. Let's just quickly wrap it up. Johnny, highlights of today or highlights of the week? I'm thinking it's probably Ford Dyke.
Yeah, there's no question. Ford was... I mean, it was just on all levels. You know, he showed up looking cool. You know, he had a lot of cool shit to say. He's just a cool cat, man.
Yeah, awesome. All right, pal, you get after it. Richie, highlight for you today, brother. The deep cheat conversation, I'm thinking.
Yeah, that was a highlight. But I got to go with Ford. I mean, he talked about the 60 seconds of space. He talked about appreciating the process. Like, if you're not in love with the process and of the consistency and the grind of doing that every day, you got to change something because you're not going to continue it. You got to love it. And then I love his human thing. That was amazing. That's just a great way, hydrate, unplug, move, aspire, and nourish. So love Ford. Great.
Yeah, I encourage you guys to connect with Ford and Nation. Go find Ford Dyke on LinkedIn. The guy is a stud. The guy just drops nuggets left and right. And as Richie and John said, he just creates this space, this aura, right? So we'll bring it back in the show coming up. All right, boys, gonna rock and roll. Gonna get out of here. Richie, Johnny,
are we on tomorrow or what? Is it Friday today?
Today's the Friday of the loop here. So
okay. Well, I'll see you guys in a couple days then. Shit, man.
Yeah,
all right, John. Have a good weekend, guys.
Have a good one, Richie. Have a good one, Johnny. You guys take off and you guys get out of here. I'm going to continue with the community corner and wrap it up with producer Jimmy. See you, Johnny. All right, Jimmy, you and me left, pal. We're going to do the creator spotlight in the community corner here on the show here. You're hanging out with Keith Bilous, your mornings in the lab with Keith and friends. This is the part of the show where I have no friends. Yeah, just me hanging out and looking around. But I see Greg over here. Greg's in the comments. Listen. There's a skill involved with what's happening right now. A lot of you are like, how does this work? I'm going to tell you how it works. I'm going to teach you how it works. Right now, when you're in my position, you're thinking to yourself that, okay, you're imagining you're talking to one person on that side of the camera now. So right now, imagine I'm talking to Greg, or I'm talking to Jack Dugan, or John Dugan, I'm talking to Marty, I'm talking to somebody. So if you're doing a podcast or doing a show and you're like, I don't know about doing this thing by myself, use your brain, imagine who you're talking to and get after it. Okay, so now we're going to do the community corner, the creator spotlight. This part of the show where we take somebody over on the LinkedIn platform. We take the old trusty Mornings in the light and shine it on their ass and just celebrate how great they are and make a bunch of great content and celebrate them. So today we are going to, once I get my mouse sorted out over here, today we're going to celebrate somebody who I've been watching their content and enjoying what they're putting out there. And we're going to feature someone who understands transformation at the deepest level. Now, a breakthrough guide. This creator helps high performers navigate their biggest questions without the constraints of traditional thinking. Through 1,100 transformations and 1,200 keynotes, this creator is helping leaders integrate deeper purpose into their work. Today, Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends is excited to celebrate and shine the lights on Dr. John Page. Yes, Dr. John Page, we are celebrating you here today for the Creator Spotlight for Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends here. And let me tell you why Dr. John has caught my attention here today on the show here. So here's what's really cool about Dr. John. He approaches spiritual guidance like performance coaching, custom built for each individual's journey. Now, beyond traditional boundaries, after 25 years in ministry, Dr. John is pioneering a new approach to purpose-driven leadership. His work, he's helped over 1,100 leaders discover their authentic path to excellence. You can see Dr. John here on the LinkedIn platform. He's over in the Atlanta area, and he's all about curious thinker, former pastor, now helping you figure shit out without the dogma. Girl dad, college football fanatic, an 80s aficionado, so he's going to fit in quite well here in the lab. But I would invite you to check out Dr. John Page. We're looking to get him in the lab here for Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends, and get to know John here. And as you see here, check out his LinkedIn profile. All right, you can connect with Dr. Page and LinkedIn to learn how he's helping leaders find clarity without dogma. And John, like I said, man, love to have you in on the show here. Would love to celebrate you and have somebody who's perhaps in your orbit to bring to Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends and celebrate them as well. And Shelly K. Spence, I see you there. Awesome. Yes, we're celebrating him this morning and so forth. So, all right, Jimmy, I think we're wrapping up, man. I think the show's over. For those of you that are wondering where Flynn is, I just love doing this here. Hey, Flynn's managing this. Yeah. So, to those of you that are parents and you're wondering how to break habits, well, Kristina Flynn in the last couple of days has been doing just that, breaking habits from her family. Her young boy is removing the soother / the pacifier out of the life. So, all right. This is going to wrap up this week's edition of Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends. I'm going to get out of here. I got to go to work. This was just the fun part of the day. Yeah. Day starts at 4. Got to get all this post-production work done. It's just the fun part. I'm going to go to work and have an exceptional Friday before we get into the weekend. Go Jets, go Bombers, go. A big week next week, Nation. I got a full week of shows here. Of course, 8 o'clock Eastern time. We go from 8 until 10 Eastern time. We start the morning loop. We get into center stage, deep dive. We got accountability check-ins, C. Marty Fit Tip. Christopher Martin's back on Monday with us. You guys have a great weekend. Get after it. If you're slowly wondering how to start your day, pause. Create awareness and invite yourself to say no to something so you can say yes to what you really want. That's the magic. But what's the real magic? Showing up every single day, 8 o'clock Eastern time. Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends. See you guys.